Hello and welcome back to She Stitch, and this is Melanie. In this video tutorial today I will be showing you how to do this fun popcorn stitch. And this video is part of our series called Just Another Crochet Along, but if you're just learning this stitch only, this video will also work for you. If you're doing the crochet along with us, you're going to want to have your size 4 yarn that you've been using, and then we're also going to be using the 3.5 millimeter hook to maintain gauge for the rest of the crochet along for our sample blanket. And then if you're not doing the crochet along with us, a popcorn stitch only needs and replaces one regular stitch. So you can really work this up in any size. I do recommend at least having like 3 stitches so that you can have a little bit of room on each side of it. But definitely you can work it up into any size and incorporate it however you like. Popcorn stitch is very popular for making blankets or afghans or cuffs or beanies, anything you like. It's especially popular for creating words. So on the crochet along project here, I did create these diamonds using the popcorn stitch, but a lot of people use the popcorn stitches to shape out letters, to make words for names or different shapes. I've seen quite a few rainbows or hearts or anything like that. Now in the video today, I'm just going to be showing you how to do the popcorn stitches and then how to go up on that row in between. And if you're going to try to build this blanket or this pattern for our crochet along, go ahead and check out my written pattern on my blog, which I will link in the description. So I just wanted to show you how far out these popcorn stitches come. In the background here, we have some of our other raised stitches. So here you can see the bean stitch. It's probably one of the lower ones, but it's also a common way to make bubbles or make things come up. This is the evenberry stitch. You can see it barely gets any height, but it does have a little bit of height. And then this one was the cobblestone, which we did. And you are getting some height. I'd say out of these 3, the cobblestone stitch is the highest. But then when you compare that to the height that's created from these popcorn stitches, it dwarfs the other stitches. So let's go ahead and get started. So like I said before, if you're doing the crochet along with us, you're going to want to go ahead and start out with a single crochet row. And in order to get that, we're going to do a chain of 31, and then we're going to go back and single crochet over it. So I'll meet you down at the bottom. One more sample that I wanted to show you to help you choose your yarn is it is possible to do these popcorn stitches with a different color. You can see from the back it does make a flat piece, and here I just used a darker green and then a variegated color for the popcorn stitches. And it does kind of help them stand out, especially if you're trying to make a word or something like that. So just wanted to share that before we get going. Today for my yarn I'm using in the tutorial, I'm using a Peaches and Cream, and it's called Chocolate Milk. And we have our starting chain of 31. So if you're doing the crochet along with us, you want to have this starting chain of 31. And then we're just going to skip 31 and 30 and go into the 29th hook, or 29th bump. So we're going to go in the 3rd one from the hook and just do a row of single crochet. Now if you're not doing the crochet along with us and you want to just try out this stitch, just go ahead and make a base chain and then a row of single crochets in whatever size you would like. If you want to learn how to make these diamonds, I would do like a multiple of 5. But you can make any shape that you would like. These popcorn stitches are really common for, I've seen some very adorable Bible verse blankets for babies and poems or anything like that. Also seen some risque ones on Instagram that are very fun. So you can let your creativity take you away with what you'd like to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this row of single crochet, and then I will meet you at the end and make sure we have 30 stitches here. Okay, so I've just got to the end of the row and I have 30 stitches, and now I'm going to turn. Now for my turns, if you see in the background here, I am able to get super duper straight lines on my edges, and that's because I do a stitch called a chainless knitting double crochet. If you've been doing the crochet along with me, you've seen me do this before. I can include a description or a link in the description box for the Moogly tutorial where she teaches this stitch She does a great job, but I'm just going to run through it once with you. So what you want to do is you hold your hook at the height of a double crochet, and then you hold pressure here with your pointer finger. Then wrap the yarn down so it looks like you have a yarn over, and then you insert through the front and the back loops like you normally would. Oops. And then just reach over in the back and grab a loop and pull it back up. And then it looks like you have 3 on the stitch or on your hook. Then yarn over and pull through 2. And then yarn over and pull through 2 more. And there you have a stitch that looks very similar to a double crochet, and it will keep your edges nice and straight like I have here. The other side isn't as straight because these are the single crochets when we go to turn. But now in order to do the crochet along pattern, we're just going to do 3 double crochets here on the edge. 1. So in order to do this stitch, all you need to know how to do is double crochets and single crochets. And I recommend being pretty familiar with those stitches before you try to move on to this. So I did 3 double crochet. Now what we're going to do is start a popcorn stitch. And we're going to do 5 double crochets all into this same next space. Okay? So let's go ahead and do 5 double crochets. And these are American terms or US terms, so we're going to yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So make sure you're doing the US version of the double crochet. We got 3 double crochets, 4 double crochet, and 5. All right, so here we have 5 double crochets all in the same spot. Now here's the tricky part of our popcorn stitch. Go ahead and stretch this out a little bit, and then what we're going to do is take our hook out, and we're going to work back into that first double crochet that started out in that first in that stitch that we're putting all of our stitches together. So the first one of the 5, and we're going to insert our hook, and you want to make sure you're going through the front loop and the back loop. Okay, so go ahead and find your the first of your 5. So you can see here I have all 5, and then insert your hook to go through the front and the back loop, and then you're going to reach over here and grab that yarn and pull it through. There we go. So that way it cinches it all together, and then we're going to chain 1. Now you have done your first popcorn stitch. And then for this pattern, we're going to do 9 double crochets in between. Now, after this popcorn stitch, you want to make sure that you hit that next single crochet. This is going to take up a little bit of extra space, so make sure you don't skip this next stitch. Now, for my pattern, I'm going to do 9, but if you're making a different shape, it might call for a different number. So I'm going to go ahead and do 9 double crochet. 2. Go ahead. You can pause, and I will stop recording here so you don't have to watch me do all 9. So I went ahead and I did those 9 double crochets in between. Now it's time for another popcorn stitch. So we're going to do 5 double crochet into that same spot. So here we go. 1. This variegated yarn is making it interesting. 2. It might kind of take away from the effect of the popcorns a little bit, so we'll have to see. 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 all in that same stitch. Then we're going to remove our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Insert there through the top or the front and the back loop. And then we're going to grab that yarn that we left alone and then just cinch the popcorn stitch closed. So just pull that through, and then we're going to chain 1. So when we go back in the next row, all that we're going to crochet into is that chain 1 space. So we will crochet into this chain 1 space that we just made, skip that little cinch together part, and go into that one from the double crochet. But we will get there next row, and I'll make sure to take that slow with you. And now the pattern, if you're making with me, make sure not to skip that next stitch. Just because this is so thick, It might kind of overrun that next area, so make sure you get in there. And for the pattern for the crochet along, the next thing is to do 9 double crochets. So let's go ahead and hit pause, and I will see you at the end of 9 double crochets. Okay, so I did the 9 double crochet. Now let me do that popcorn stitch with you again. So we're going to put 5 double crochets all into that same stitch. 1, oops, 2, 3. This one might be a little bit easier to see because it looks like we're in the lighter color. 4, and then 5. Okay, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to remove our hook. Go back into the first of the 5 double crochets. Insert our hook through the front and the back loop. Grab the open loop there. And cinch all 5 of them closed. Let me readjust a little bit. Cinch all 5 closed. We don't want to make too much slack, otherwise it won't close all the way. There we go. And then we chain 1 to complete the stitch. There we go. And then for the pattern for the crochet along, we're just going to do double crochets the rest of the way across. All right. So if you're wondering how we're going to go on top of these, just go ahead and stick around. Let's just finish up this stitch or this row. It's going to end with 5 double crochets at the end. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to chain 2 for the turn. So we're going to chain 2 and turn, and that chain 2 will start at will count as a stitch. So it counts here as this first stitch. And we're going to go into the next one, and we're just going to do this whole row will be single crochets. But let's make sure that we place these in the right spot above the popcorn stitches, okay? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you remember, it ended with 5 double crochets on the other side, so that's why I'm counting to 5. So now we've got all those, and now we're on the top of the popcorn stitch. Okay, so now you can see at the top here that the chain stitch that we closed the popcorn stitch with is this dark brown front and back loop, and that's what we want to crochet into. Okay, so make sure you're getting into the front V and the back V only of that one stitch. And we're just going to do a single crochet into there. It might be a little bit tight, so insert your hook through both loops and then just do a single crochet. Okay, and then next you want to make sure you don't go into these 2 little pieces here, and make sure you're going into the front and the back loop of the next double crochet stitch that was from the row before. Okay, because that's going to be not a full, you'll end up adding stitches if you go into those 2 little pieces of yarn there, so make sure you're going into the V's. All right, and that's the trick about the popcorn stitches, is that that next row, you want to make sure you're not adding any stitches. Okay, and then this whole row, like I said before, will just be single crochets. So let me work my way over to the top of my next popcorn to make sure that you understand the top of it. First time I was doing this, I did kind of mess it up a little bit. So here you can see this medium brown V we're going to go into. Then this dark brown V is the top. Oh, it's not in focus, is it? There we go. The medium V, the dark V, and then we're going to skip these yarn here and go into this V here, okay? So insert your hook into that double crochet, the top of the double crochet. Then into the chain stitch at the top of the popcorn. And then into the next stitch here. Make sure not to go in here and go into the stitch, the next stitch. All right, and then go ahead and finish up your single crochets in the next ones, and I'll make sure to stop at the next popcorn stitch and show you, work through that with you again. Okay, so here I am again, and you can see I've got 2 of these here. This is the double crochet before the popcorn stitch, so we'll go in there. And then we have this white chain on top. We're going to go through both loops and do a single crochet. Make sure not to go into this stretched out stitch and go into the front and the back V's here. There we go. And that's how you do the row on top of the popcorn stitches. It's always a good idea to count your stitches on these rows, especially if you're doing a graph pattern or something like that, because it's going to really throw off the design that you're trying to make. And that last chainless knitting double crochet is nice and easy to go into most of the time if your yarn doesn't start to split. All right, there we go. And that's the first 3 rows of our pattern. So you've done 3 popcorn stitches. Now, like I said, the pattern for the crochet along will be available on my blog, where it tells you how many double crochets to do in between the popcorn stitches. I will go ahead and do this next row with you. But that's everything you need. So thank you for joining me. If you all you wanted was the stitch, and if you're trying to learn this pattern, I'll do this next row with you as well. So the pattern is going to read chainless knitting double crochet and then 2 double crochets. So let's go ahead and do that. Chainless knitting double crochet, and then 2 double crochets. 2. Now what we're going to do is popcorn stitch, double crochet, popcorn stitch. And that's because there is a double crochet in between our popcorn stitches here. So let's go ahead and do our popcorn stitch. We're going to do 5 double crochets in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, it's going to be an all white popcorn. That's going to be interesting. Adjust a little bit here for comfort. And we're going to take out our hook, go back to the first one that goes in the spot here, insert through the front and the back loop, pull that loop through, all the way through, and then chain 1. And then our pattern has a double crochet next. So we got to make sure we get this spot, and this is going to be directly on top of the other popcorn to help our diamonds form. All right, and then we're going to do that next spot. It's going to have 5 double crochets for our popcorn stitch. 2, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to insert here. We got a little tan one to go into. Pull that loop back through and chain 1. All right. So that's what you're going to do. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you're going to do 7 double crochets, and then do a popcorn stitch here, a double crochet here, and then another popcorn stitch. Then you'll do 7 double crochets, and then before here, you can see this is the one directly on top of the popcorn stitch. So we're going to do a popcorn stitch here, then a double crochet, and then a popcorn stitch. And that's how we make the diamonds. So you can see this row is going to have 5, and then the row after that is going to have 5. So you want to make sure that that's matching up to keep your little diamonds perfect. The reason why I didn't want to go through the whole pattern with you guys is I want to provide you the diamonds if you'd like, but also encourage you to try your own shape. I did try to choose something like gender neutral. I didn't want to do a heart or something like that in case a heart, well, you know, maybe a little bit childish or not what you were going for with your blanket. So I wanted to give you the ability to make your own shapes. But this one did take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 rows. Now, I tend to crochet a little bit shorter than most people, so it might not be that you need 18 rows. I think one of my pattern testers was able to end out here. So just kind of pay attention to the end and don't start your next diamond if you're not going to need all the length there, or all of the height. So I hope you guys have a good time with this stitch and enjoy creating it. It's a lot of fun to do. It has a really fun feel. I think this would be great for a sensory blanket if you have somebody that would like something like that. And I hope to see you guys next time. I already have our next pattern worked up and I hope to share it with you soon. So I will see you next time, and if anybody asks where I am, till then just tell them she's stitching.